He's dead. Jesus is dead. What can that be? I could see what was coming. I could see the trouble that was happening. We were east of the Jordan River with all the disciples and Jesus. And I knew the Pharisees and the teachers of the law. They were trying to find a way to trap him, trying to find a way to catch him in his words, to arrest him. I could see the trouble that was coming. And we heard that Lazarus was sick. He was very ill and close to death. And all of us were surprised that Jesus didn't go immediately to see Lazarus and Mary and Martha. We waited there a few days, and it wasn't until Lazarus had died that Jesus said we should go. I believed in him. I believed everything he said and that he taught. I believed that Jesus was truly the Messiah, the one sent by God. And I told the other disciples at that time, before we went, that I was ready to die for him. I was ready to put my life on the line for Jesus. That's who I believed he was. And we went to Bethany. We went to see Mary and Martha once Lazarus had died. And when we got there, well, it was amazing what Jesus did. Lazarus had been dead for 4 days. He rose him from the dead. Lazarus came out of the tomb alive. I saw him with my own eyes. I touched him with my own hands and spoke to Lazarus. He is alive. Right now, Lazarus is alive. But there were people there who went and reported to the Pharisees everything that had happened. And they became more angered at Jesus. They kept looking for a way they could trap him, some way they could catch him. I knew there was trouble coming. I could see it happening. And 2 days ago, we were celebrating the Passover with all of us disciples together and Jesus. We were celebrating with the feast of the Passover. And I just had this weighing on my heart. But Jesus spoke to all of us. He said, "Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. In my Father's house, there are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I am going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go to prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that where I am, you may also be. You know the way to where I am going." I asked Jesus, I said, "Jesus, we don't know where you're going, so how do we know the way?" I couldn't understand what he was saying. Jesus said he was going somewhere, to some place. The Messiah is supposed to rule over Israel, to sit on David's throne forever. He's supposed to establish God's kingdom. Where's this place he is going? His Father's rooms? And he answered and said to us, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really knew me, you would know my Father as well. From now on, you know him, and you have seen him." What was Jesus talking about? Being the way, the truth, the life? Where was this place he was going? How was he the way there? I still didn't know what he was talking about. And to see the Father? Philip even asked him, or he told him, Jesus, just show us the Father, and that will be enough for us. I had agreed. If we could see the Father, it would be so amazing. Only Moses and the elders back on Sinai were in the presence of the Father. To see the Father? To see God? How is that even possible? I don't know how it will be possible. That night, Jesus took us. All of us disciples, we went to Gethsemane to pray. It was late at night. And Jesus took Peter and James and John with him. And they went further into the garden, while we stayed towards the outside. They were praying there. And we saw a group with torches approaching from a ways away, and we didn't know who they were. As they got closer, I could see clubs and spears. It was the temple guard. They were approaching us. I knew this trouble was coming. We told Jesus and Peter and James and John. And Jesus, he just walked forward and approached the guard. He said to them, "Who is it you are seeking?" And the guards there, they said, "Jesus of Nazareth." And Jesus said to them, "I am he." And when he said those words, the guards, I can't explain it. There was just a power behind his words, and they fell to the ground. It's like their legs just gave out from under them. And the whole guard just fell. They pulled themselves back up. And again, Jesus asked them, "Who is it you are seeking?" They said, "Jesus of Nazareth." Jesus said again, "I am he." And then the guards, they started approaching Jesus. They came towards him to arrest him. I didn't know what to do. I was scared of what was going to happen. They came towards him. And Peter, he pulled his sword and ran towards the nearest one. And I ran. I ran away. I left Jesus there. I just ran. Can't believe what I did. Heard yesterday what they did to Jesus. They arrested him. They brought him before the Sanhedrin that night. Then in the morning they brought him before Pilate. And they demanded that he be executed. They took Jesus, and they stood him in front of Pilate, and told him they wanted him killed. Pilate didn't want to have anything to do with it, but they convinced him. The crowd pushed in on him, and were yelling and forcing his hand until he finally gave in. They took Jesus, and they beat him, and they whipped him. They made him carry his cross to Golgotha, and they crucified him. He's dead. Jesus is dead. He was supposed to be the Messiah. I believed in him. I believed he was the chosen one of God. How can he be? He was all those things. He healed people who were lame. He made paralyzed men get up and run. A man who was born blind gave the gift of sight. The prophet said only the Messiah would be able to do such things. He spoke with authority. He raised Lazarus from the dead. I saw him and touched him with my own hands. But how can he be? How can he be the Messiah if he's dead? How can he be God's chosen one if he's been crucified and laying in a tomb? Father, I don't know what to do. I can't put the pieces together. I don't know what's going on. I thought he was the Messiah. Father, I need you to show me your plan of salvation, to show your plan for me. Lord, show it to me so I can see it with my own eyes, so I can touch it with my own hands.